Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art on MTR Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Lee, and my next guest is the curator. We have Chef Justin Holloman. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So let's get right into it. So obviously, chef is in the title or what have you. So give us the rundown of your work and kind of, if you will, describe your philosophy, your style of cooking in maybe 3 words.
So pretty much my style of cooking is out the box. I'm unorthodox. I'm out in a box. I'm not boxed in. I believe to be multifaceted. Okay. Different in every ethnic and every genre and style of cooking that I love to partake in.
So in that, I would imagine you're a foodie while being a chef, because it's rare, but you run into it on occasion. Chefs that aren't foodies, it's like, I cook a specific thing and that's what I do. So are you more of a foodie, or you're a person that travels and you look for what are they doing down here in this region? And you try to bring that back in and do your own play on it? How's that work for you?
Absolutely correct. I love food, not just what I cook and my fellow partners cook. I love food in general. And I love the fellowship that food brings to the fellowship that it brings to the table. So I guess when I do travel, I do frequent different go to different restaurants, and then if things that I like, I put my own twist on it. Rather it be molecular gastronomy, rather it be some just my own flair to different things that I like, and people that I look up to. I definitely put my own flair to things. Just as like I went to Michelin star restaurant for my birthday, and was absolutely amazing. So when I came back home, it was like a battery in my back to step my up to a different notch, as well as the entire experience that I had there. So I don't just look at the food per se. I look at the entire experience from start to finish, from walking into the door until I'm leaving and signing the check. I look at the whole entire experience as a whole.
So this brings me to my question. I'm a foodie person or what have you, and but I'm not necessarily a purist. I like people that think outside of the box, as you described earlier. But do you feel that? How do you balance something that might be very specific with something that's a little outside of the box? How do you marry those two things? Case in point, we all know a hot dog is a hot dog, right?
Right.
Or if you're from Baltimore, hot dog, because, Yeah,
I do.
So we know that that's that. So there's a certain structure, there's certain elements that make it what it is. How do you work within those parameters while still putting that Holloman stamp of approval on it, that curator stamp of approval to make it your own?
That's a very, very good question. Because I always look at different things to try how I can transform it. Okay. So for me, I'm pretty much known for like deconstructing things. Sure. So I would literally deconstruct the hot dog, deconstruct it and configure it to something totally different to what it normally looked as, the regular 5-inch long piece of meat that they put on a bun. Yeah. A hot dog is something that is very, very in my opinion, underutilized. Mm-hmm. You only see it during the summertime, or you see it every day on your table, hot dogs and beans. Yeah. People put it in their oodles and noodles or something like that.
That's wild specific right there.
Right. So it's a hot dog it's a canvas. It can be used in different ways, because also, if you think about it, a hot dog is something that we commonly, like a sausage is a version of a hot dog. Yeah. And Vienna sausage is patted meat is a version of a hot dog because of the casing and the process that it takes to make it. Yeah. So there's many variations of a hot dog per se, but not just the formalities of being it elongated how it looks.
Yeah. So you can deconstruct the glizzy, as it were. That's what we're getting at.
Yeah, I can. My mind gets pretty advanced, and I can deconstruct a lot. Yeah. Molecular gastronomy and all that French techniques and stuff is definitely my wheelhouse and my arsenal of things that I do.
So for those who are uninitiated, molecular gastronomy, run that real quick for the folks out there.
Molecular gastronomy is a pretty much when you're using different additives to add flair to your food. you can sometimes overdo it or just right in the middle. So that entails foams, spherification, caviars, quenelles, different things of that nature. Also, I can turn like balsamic vinegar into spaghetti. I can turn tomato juice into caviar, or I can turn it into a spear that you can cut it open and it explode. I can turn milk into a spear and it opens up like a sauce. I can turn champagne into a caviar. If you go on my Instagram page, I turn it's a dish one that I did smoked tomato caviar on one dish, and then I did on a dessert I did mango caviar on another dish. And then I also do like different kinds of foams. It's just however you feel to pretty much add a different level of something to the dish, or you can transform something to taste like something else, but it is really like something else. So that to me, that sounds like food alchemy. Yeah, it's definitely alchemy. It's definitely science, because you can do it. You can overdo it and it won't come out right, and then sometimes you can just right. And you know, I kind of got the vibe of from reading over your bio on your website. You're a Food Network person, and you know that's a thing out there where people they talk about people that overdo it too much, that they're trying to get over that flair, but it's like it's not a lot of steak to that sizzle you're putting out there. And you kind of touched on it as well, that you can overdo it. Yes, you can absolutely 100,000% overdo it. You can definitely overdo it to the point where you just lost it. And you just like really disconfigured what you were trying to do, pretty much, in a sense. So what is one of your earliest memories that kind of comes to mind when you think of your love of cooking or your love of food as overall? I don't want to cry, but when I started cooking, I was like 6 and 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And my first love of cooking was my grandmother getting up early in the morning, putting that pot of greens on, or getting up in the morning for whatever, cleaning those chitlins in the sink and cutting them up and lining that baking pan with that pineapple upside down cake. Yeah. Putting the brown sugar on the bottom, opening my Marstrina trays and putting them in the middle of the pineapple rings. That's my first vision of food for me. Yeah. And then transcended to probably one of the youngest African-American young cooks to be with the Baltimore Book Festival. If you're from Baltimore, you're familiar with the Baltimore Book Festival. Back in the 90s, when I was featured with like Chef Emeril Lagasse, Chef Marcel Duzalanes, Chef John Shields that owned Gertrude's inside the Walters Art Gallery, and then Chef John Randall, who is like one of the pillars of Creole Northern cuisine. Mm-hmm. And those things pretty much molded me to become who I am today. But I'm always will stand firm on what my grandmother taught me and the fundamentals that she taught me of keeping food what it is, pure, love, and never lose the fellowship that food can create. Because my grandmother was big on family, and she was big on helping each and every person, even if it's just a sandwich. Yeah. If it was a cup of greens or a ham sandwich from ham left over from Thanksgiving or Christmas that she made black eyed peas with, because black eyed peas is a staple. And for New Year's Eve, you put black eyed peas and you put the ham bone from Christmas in the black eyed peas, and you got a dinner with some Ben's biscuits. You got dinner the next day. So all those different things plays a pivotal part in becoming who Justin, the curator, is. That's my foundation. So I'm hearing when you touch on the greens, you touch on the black eyed peas, pineapple upside down cake, and all of that's like very familiar for me. It's black. It's rooted in like Southern cuisine, or some people will call soul food or what have you. And So definitely we're on the same page. So how has your view on food and its preparation changed from the time you started cooking until now? How the preparation of food has changed. How is your view on it? Like maybe sourcing ingredients and how you prepare them. Like, let's say if, are you making more trips to that farmer's market? Are you going more local when it comes to sourcing ingredients and things like that? I can speak for myself, and I can give you two sides to it. For myself, I have never stopped that trip to the farmer's market. I've never stopped that going an extra mile traveling to find the best products ever. Because I'm a firm believer of farm to table. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer you get what you pay for. And I'm a firm believer of giving each person, the best I can possibly give them from start to finish.
Yeah.
So, and another point, a lot of people take shortcuts to do certain things. I'm not that guy. So the process for food, I believe for the best product on a plate, you go the extra mile for it. You do whatever you possibly need to do to create the best plate you possibly can.
Yeah.
No matter if you go to the farmer's market on Saturdays and Sundays, getting your tomatoes, your herbs, your microgreens, your potatoes, your asparagus, whatever, and going down to the other side and getting the fresh fish and putting it all together to compose a dish, I would go for it. It's going to cost you more, but the respect and love and the passion you put in this dish, that if you eat it yourself or somebody else, I promise you the appreciation will be there and it will definitely be respected. That's
key. Yeah, because in some of the conversations I've had with different chefs or what have you, they touch on it's their art form. It's not about, hey, I need to make X amount of money in this year, what have you. Money is important. Let's not be too pie in the sky about it, but also recognizing that if you're getting into that, it's a service industry, it's hospitality, it's right. Art, it's you putting out your feelings, your emotion, your pride, your heart, all of that stuff on the plate. And it's not about, I need to make that bread. Because if we were all in it, or if all chefs were in it purely for, those margins and increasing those margins, then it goes to what you touched on a moment ago. The quality starts going down. How can I mass produce this? How can I stretch this? How can I somehow sully what this is and what the reasoning you may have gotten into that culinary field,
right?
To pursue money, and it suffers you into hating yourself a little bit.
You're definitely gonna feel it.
Yeah,
you're gonna feel it, and you can be like, "What the heck did I just really do?" You start questioning yourself, like, "Why did I really do this?"
So, when it comes to your dishes, you touched on the southern stuff that, as we mentioned earlier, and maybe I'm out there reaching for myself a little bit, but what is your favorite dish to create?
I don't have a favorite dish.
Okay.
I don't have a favorite. I get asked this question a lot, mm-hmm. And the process of opening this restaurant, that's going to probably be the biggest thing that the question I'm constantly asked. Sure. I don't have a favorite thing to cook because I love food in its entirety in its pure and rawest form.
Sure.
I cannot be so selfish to one thing to the point where I lost the love of everything else.
That's legit.
I can't say that I love making this snapper dish, or I love cooking soul food, I love cooking seafood, because then my mind is tunnel vision and I don't expect anything else. Mm-hmm. That's just like when you go to school, go to college, your major is this, but guess what? You're touching other areas that cultivates your major to bigger what it is. When I went to culinary school, I didn't understand why I had to take English classes and math classes when I'm going to school to cook. It didn't make sense to me.
Right.
But after everything settles, like, oh, it makes sense why I need, to write a paper on Jarhead and still go to Cooking 101, Cooking 102, and French pastries. It made sense at the end. So, I don't have a favorite thing to cook. I love all things to cook. I probably do cook more of a certain style more than anything.
So with that style, it was more of a, so with that style, what style is it and why does it resonate with you more than other styles? The style, I'm classically French trained, chef, curator, if you will. And that style has resonated with me for a very long time because of the precision and the discipline that it requires you to have. Anybody can do certain things, but I love the discipline and the respect of the brigade system that Auguste Escoffier established for us to have. So I am more prone to the discipline that it provides
in the kitchen sound. So I'm still doing the soul food as a sense, the Italian, the Polish, the Mediterranean, the Ethiopian, the African. I'm still doing all of that, including the molecular gastronomy, but I'm still doing it in the ramifications of the classical French techniques.
That makes sense. Let me shift to this question. Since I touched on earlier, you mentioned Emeril Lagasse, and I watched a lot of Emeril live back in the day. So this is definitely going to be a food culture or food pop culture kind of oriented question. So, Food Network, food is converging with TV and that whole thing. So yes. Now, based on your previous answer, this might be a little bit of a hard one, but if you could cook with one celebrity chef, who would it be and what would you make?
So before I answer the question, I have a couple favorite chefs that I watch pretty much 2 to 3 times a week on Netflix and on YouTube.
Yeah.
So the choice will definitely will have to be between Chef Grant Atkins that owns Alinea, Chef Curtis Duffy of Ever,
mm-hmm.
and oh my goodness, and I would like to get in the kitchen with Chef Kwame Onawachi.
Okay.
So out of those 3, I will have to say Grant Atkins.
Okay.
Why? Because he is a thinker and he thinks outside the box to the point where you really can get a headache. and he pushes himself to be the best for his team. So they push him and they push each other. So I wouldn't even imagine. He already created the flying edible balloon. So I'm on the breaks of like, you can't do anything. If he does anything better than the flying edible balloon, then yeah, he's killed it. But yeah, I would pick Grant Atkins. I definitely would.
And what would you try to make with him?
I'll cook an egg sandwich. It didn't matter.
I dig it.
I would do whatever he wanted. I will make it, like real straight up. I will make whatever. Whatever he thought it was cool, I'll make whatever. Even down to culinary days, I'll turn in potato. It didn't matter.
So, all right, then. How about this one? This is another one because based on what you said, I feel like it's a show that would be perfect for you on Food Network, and you already know what it is. It's probably Chopped, right? I feel like Chopped is going to be because it's outside of the box, or maybe Guys Grocery Game, something in that space of you're able to pivot and think on your feet.
Funny you said that. Friend of mine, Chef Station Epps, she used to we used to talk all the time, and she used to just throw ingredients at me over the phone, and I would say what I would make with it. She was like, wow, I never thought of that. So I can see me on Chop. One of the local Chef David Thomas was on there, and he's one grand champion. So I wouldn't be privy to go on Chopped. I wouldn't, but that's not my focus. I wouldn't be opposed to it if it presented itself, but that's not my lane. That's not my lane.
We had a few of the guests that I've had on here on this podcast have been on Chopped and Guys Grocery Games. Jasmine Norton was on Guys Grocery Games, and
me and Jasmine went to middle school together. Yep.
Dope. And John Krieger was on. He has a Fuzine down in Fells. Was on Chopped. That was when he was still up in New York, but he was on Chopped or what have you. And it's always good to see a local person on there and kind of see what are they doing that's going to be unique.
Right.
But the question I have so if you're going to be on Chopped, right? And this might be because I'm getting the vibe. You're a very confident individual, and I like that. But what part? Because everyone has that stumbling area. So you get the appetizer, you get the main, and you get that dessert, right?
Right.
On Chopped. So which one is going to be the one that you might struggle with? That might be the biggest headache causer.
Probably the dessert.
I can see that. Dessert's that kind of last thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the dessert because they would do something crazy and put you have to make gooey duck a dessert. And I'd be like, what? But you were like, why? It was like, why would I even do this? So I think dessert will be probably the thing for me. Appetizers for me are easy because they're bite sized. A moose boost type of operation. Main courses to me, a composed dish. As long as you have the three elements: salt, acid, and heat, stuff like that, perfect. Dessert would probably be the one that stumped me. But it's funny you said dessert. It's funny it stumped me, but that was the first competition I won in culinary school. First year in, I won first place baking competition. So yeah, so I would say baking would probably be the toughest for me.
And you have that time limitation too. You have to get you have to be on your toes and figure something out. But definitely, what you were touching on when it comes to, I look at, you got the elements in there, fat, salt, acid, whatever, and you have all of that in there. But also, it's a size thing. Like oftentimes you'll hear, this is not a appetizer, or this is not an entree, because they may have a good dish or they may have something that works, but the size is off.
It's all about the size and what you put on a dish and understanding what works for it. It might work in your own restaurant per se as an appetizer because that's what you like. But in their eyes, they're looking for something quaint for appetizers, something that it can pick up no more than 1 or 2 bites. That's what they're looking for.
Now, this brings me to the last question that I have before we get into shameless plugs. And, we like to do the plugs here. Why, with all of the experience, all of the background, and why Baltimore? Why be a part of the food scene in Baltimore?
I'm born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, West Baltimore. I believe with my heart of hearts that the culture for Baltimore food scene has, in the last couple years, has been kind of progressive in a way. But I believe that it can be better and to change face to what people normally would expect from Baltimore, if that makes sense. Because, you automatically expect crab cakes, you automatically expect, some type of chicken box and understanding that. And but understand that's not the root really of Baltimore in a sense, or Maryland. And understanding the food culture in Baltimore really was some of the settlers was Polish, there was Vietnam, and it was the Jewish. It was the Jews. And I found that out once we did the Mason-Dixon Master Chef competition. Some of the first settlers in Baltimore was those guys. And understanding that, food is food, food is culture. And I love the culture of what it brings to the table in Baltimore and in its entirety. So I would always, pay homage to Baltimore, what a case in point. But I also would definitely move and try my hand and open a restaurant somewhere else. I definitely would. I definitely would. I've been talking maybe Texas, Virginia, Miami, even California. So that is something that that I would look into, would not be privy and against doing it. But Baltimore is home. Yeah, that's pretty much that one.
Well, thank you. That's good. It's good to have that insight. So now it's that point of the show where it's time to get into shameless plugs. So social media, website, all of that good stuff.
I'm scared. What's that mean?
Yeah, plug your brand, plug your website, your socials, all of that good stuff. Put people out there. Yeah.
Oh wow! So I get to do my whole spiel. Okay,
yeah, you do.
If you know me, I am Justin the Curator. Also, they call me Keep That Energy. I am curator of everything culinary. I have a brand called the Curator Taco. I also have Palette Dining, which is a more upper echelon fine dining experience. I have my own spice line called Black Soul Spices and Hot Sauce. You can purchase that on my website at justinthecurator.co. And my newest venture, I am the executive chef and co-owner of the Garden Restaurant Rooftop Restaurant and Lounge in Baltimore, Maryland. Looking to open in the next couple months. That's pretty much That's pretty much the gist of it. Opening this restaurant, the Curator Taco, which I do on Tuesdays. I do Palate Fridays on Fridays, which means I give you restaurant quality food. And, you place your order, you pick it up from me. Sometimes there's drinks. Sometimes there's dessert. You just got to wait and see. I've got my niche with the tacos when I started. I started Taco Tuesdays at Motor House. Mm-hmm. So, if anybody familiar with Motor House, used to do Turn Up Tuesdays at Motor House. And I started there. So that was in 2019. So I've been doing after COVID and everything like that. I still was active in the Taco Tuesday thing that I do now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Go follow me on all my social media. Follow me on Facebook, Justin Holloman. Follow me on Instagram, _Justin_ the Curator. Also follow both my business page, Underground Palette and The Garden Rooftop, for all the updates to come for the restaurant opening that I will be opening soon. And yeah.
So there you have it, folks. Thank you for coming on, Justin. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So for the curator, Justin Holloman, I am Rob Lees, and there's tasty treats, all types of good food in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for it.